So you've saved $2 million for retirement. You're just about to hit 60 years old and you're feeling pretty good about your prospects of a retirement. After all, that is a really significant nest egg. But what if I told you that despite your impressive savings, you might still be at risk of outliving your money? In this video, I'm going to show you why $2 million, a number that sounds massive in retirement, might actually fall short of funding the retirement that you're dreaming about. And even more importantly, I'm going to show you what you can do about it. Let's dive right in. Once you've achieved that level of savings, you're good to go. But let's walk through a hypothetical client to demonstrate why you still face substantial risk retiring with that amount of money. This example is going to use John and Amanda. John is 58 years old and Amanda is a few years younger at 55. And they have exactly $2 million saved across retirement accounts and other investments, all managed online by themselves on online platforms. John has $1.2 million in his 401k, and they have a joint account that's $640,000 in value, but they also have $160,000 in a money market account at their bank. Now, this is a pretty typical pre-retiree scenario where the majority of what they've saved is in a 401k or an IRA. His goal is simple: retire at 60 years old and maintain the same level of spending that he currently has. The only slight change was they wanted to add an additional $5,000 a year in spending so they could travel with their kids. After decades of disciplined saving, John reached a financial milestone often promoted as ideal by any sort of media or financial advice that you can read online. But now John is feeling really anxious. He's troubled by some recent articles that he read that say his substantial savings might not be enough for his retirement. Despite following conventional wisdom and achieving significant financial success, he's beginning to wonder if inflation, healthcare costs, market volatility, and a potentially long retirement could jeopardize his own financial security. The key issue John faces is simple yet deeply concerning. Even though he's accumulated an impressive $2 million, he's realizing this might not guarantee the worry-free retirement that he's worked so hard to achieve. This realization leaves him questioning whether the money will last as long as he needs it to. Now, let's look at how his uncertainty impacts his retirement planning. But before we get into the numbers, it's pretty important to understand the context of his financial situation. Starting with these crucial questions that I ask every client to understand if they're going to plan to retire. The first question I ask is, what are your actual retirement expenses? Understanding realistic annual spending ensures very accurate projections within the financial planning software. The easiest way to accomplish this is to link your bank account up to software so you can properly track and categorize your spending. Several of my clients use our planning software, Right Capital, to accomplish this, but there are other apps out there that you can use. Rocket Money is a great one as well. Number two, what's your longevity risk based upon your family history and your current health? Planning for a potentially longer life helps prevent running out of money. And although this isn't a perfect science, it provides a valuable guide to longevity risk. And although most people believe they'll live long lives, they often don't think about planning for a retirement that can often last 30 plus years. My current oldest client is 102 years old. Now that is a really, really long retirement, and it takes very careful planning to pull it off. Number three, how is your portfolio positioned to combat inflation over several decades? Inflation significantly reduces the purchasing power of every dollar that you've saved. I don't have to tell you that everything has gone up in price in the last 5 years. The short bout of hyperinflation raised prices on everything from cars to insurance and groceries. Not planning for these large increases will leave you stressed in your retirement because your budget will get squeezed. For example, over a 30-year retirement with just 2% inflation, the purchasing power of a dollar is eroded to just 55 cents. That means what costs a dollar today will double in cost in 30 years. But what if we have 3% inflation? That same dollar is reduced to 41 cents. Your portfolio needs to contain appropriate levels of inflation hedges if you're going to maintain your desired lifestyle in retirement. Question 4. What healthcare costs are you projecting, including long-term care costs? Healthcare and long-term care costs can rapidly deplete savings if you underestimate them. Long-term care costs can vary dramatically depending on what type of care you plan for, whether it be assisted living, a nursing home, or even in-home care. Lots of couples plan to use their home as the final asset to be sold to fund long-term care needs right at the end of their life. Number 5, have you accounted for future tax uncertainty? Taxes impact withdrawal amounts, affecting how long your money is going to last. If your assets are mostly in tax-deferred accounts like traditional IRAs or 401ks, every dollar you take out will be taxed. And once required minimum distributions are forced, you have to take additional money out, and that can dramatically boost your tax bill when you're in your mid 70s. Number 6, what market conditions are you prepared for during the critical early years of your retirement? Early retirement losses can drastically reduce your confidence that you have enough money to retire. This often leads people to explore going back to work, which is the absolute worst case scenario. The asset allocation of your investments is often overlooked, but I'll demonstrate later that this can completely change your retirement outlook. Number 7, how would a major financial shock impact your withdrawal sustainability? Being prepared for significant market downturns or unexpected expenses ensures resilience in retirement. This is where emergency accounts are worth their weight in gold. Having some cash buffers your portfolio from withdrawals at really inopportune times. And finally, number 8, what guaranteed income sources complement your savings? Income from pensions or Social Security can offset risks and provide stability throughout your retirement. Optimizing when you begin to take Social Security can dramatically affect your investable assets. Although rare these days, even having a pension, regardless if it's small or big, can reduce early portfolio drawdown in your retirement. Using John's example, let's walk through his answers and see if the $2 million mark is enough. By the way, if you feel like you're in a very similar situation to this client where you don't know if your savings are enough, click the first link in the description where you can fill out a few short questions and receive a custom video giving you actionable advice to implement your own retirement plan. Now on to John and Amanda's example. We're going to use Right Capital to analyze their situation. So John's annual expenses in retirement are estimated to be about $120,000. But his plan has always been to simply maintain his current level of spending. Now, this is a quick way to be very disappointed in retirement because that level of spending doesn't take into account inflation. You can see we've input the $10,000 number in here, but there's one very important change that we made. We've adjusted the level of spending to adjust for inflation on an annual basis. This is super important because this allows you to maintain your lifestyle and not get it eroded away each year by the level of inflation. Now, for both John and Amanda, we've estimated their lifespans at 90. So the planning stops at age 90. We've amounted for long-term care in the amount of $75,500, each of them for 2 years right at the end of the plan. Now, this number is really high, but that's because they've opted for in-home care. They could have opted for a cheaper option like a nursing home or even an assisted living, but they opted for in-home care, so that's why the number is so high. Annual healthcare costs for both of them are $6,400. And then we've put in their retirement dates. John is 60, and because Amanda is a couple of years younger, we've put her age at 58 for retirement. Now, when you take a look at this, you can see that the probability of success based on the Monte Carlo simulation is really low. 34% is a really low number, and if you look, there's one big reason why that's so low. This isn't what you want to see when you look at a Monte Carlo simulation. The median ending portfolio value is 0. This means that the probability of them running out of money is very high. Now, if we look at the comparison about when they're going to actually run out of money, the software is saying the chances of them running out of money is very high sometime in their late 80s. Now, this is not what you want to have happen. They need a bigger margin of safety. So let's take a look about why is their chances of success so low. If we click on their investments, you can see that what they've done is they have a very conservative asset allocation. Asset allocation is just how you've chosen to invest your money. Their current allocation is 35% stocks and 65% bonds. This is too conservative. If you're going to be planning for a retirement of 30 years plus, you're going to need to have equities in that portfolio to drive the returns. If you just have 65% and maintain that level of bond allocation throughout your retirement, not only are you going to deplete your portfolio too quickly, you're also going to decrease your lifestyle because those bond payments that are coming in are going to go down every single year because they're fixed. So that inflation rate of 2% reduces the value of both the principal you've invested in the bonds, but also the payment that you're getting every year from the bonds as well. And that's why the probability is only 34% for John and Amanda. Now, if we go back to the retirement tab, let's take a look at some of the levers that we can pull to see if we can increase that number. Now, for John and Amanda's situation, because they're going to be planning for a 30-year retirement, I would recommend to them that they at least choose a moderate allocation. What does moderate mean? Moderate just means that you're going to choose a 60% stocks, 40% bonds. It's very average. So let's make the change and see what that does. The current allocation, let's change it to the median or the moderate allocation and we'll update. And what you're going to see happen is that the probability of success under the proposed plan doubled. It jumped to 70% just because we've optimized their investments. Now, what if we wanted to get that a little bit higher? 70 is not bad. It's not a bad score. But what if we wanted to achieve a score of 80? What if John and Amanda could reduce their monthly spending just by $1,000? Instead of spending $10,000 per month, they just need to reduce it and spend $9,000 a month. Let's make that change and see how high we can get the score. This is what I'd like to see in most of my accounts, a probability of success above 80%. Now, if we go back to that comparison tab, we can see that before it had them running out of money in their mid 80s. But now the green section is what the current allocation and that slightly reduced spending leaves them 5 million more in assets. Now, this doesn't mean that they're going to end up with 5 million. This is just what the software says the median forecast is. But what this does is it shows you the levers that you can pull when you're planning a retirement to increases your probability of success. When you decide to take Social Security, there are tons of options. You can take it at 62, you can take it at full retirement age, you can delay it until you're 70. For John and Amanda, what we did to supplement their income is we decided that John was gonna wait until he's 70 years old to take it so he get that higher monthly benefit. And then Amanda didn't work, so she doesn't have a huge benefit coming to her. But what she's entitled to is this spousal benefit for Social Security. And what that is at full retirement age is half of John's benefit. So he's getting $2,800, she's gonna get $1,400 for her benefit, and she's gonna begin collecting that at full retirement age of 67. This example demonstrates the power of early planning. Before you retire, you have lots of levers to pull to impact your retirement lifestyle, from asset allocation to retirement dates, spending levels, and even savings amounts into your investment accounts before you retire. After you retire, however, your options really are only asset allocation and spending levels. Other than that, you can't really make too many changes because you don't have the options. John and Amanda's story shows that retirement readiness isn't about hitting some magic number. It's about aligning your income, risks, expenses, and goals. If you're 58 years old and you've saved $2 million for retirement, that might be enough, but it's only enough with the right strategy. Now that you know why $2 million might not provide the retirement security many expect, you can take the steps to strengthen your financial planning. If you're looking for more help with your retirement, I've put together an entirely free retirement assessment that will help give you personal insights about your retirement readiness. It walks through the exact same process I use with these clients, and at the end of it, you'll receive a video personally from me guiding you through the next steps to planning a successful retirement. To take it, just click the link in the description, and with that, I'll see you on the next one.